figure out the whole play.
What?
Like when he plays, like because like if he doesn't have the collar on, it's kind of be.
We haven't implemented the bonker yet.
Okay.
Well,
sure.
The collar on, he just like kind of.
That's the whole thing with the collar, because it's like a cop, right? When the cop's present, like we behave ourselves. That's where the bonker comes in, just because it's you're not dependent on that. It's super common. Everybody has issue with the bonker.
We just haven't like. It's not that we're going to.
What is it you're trying to get correct again?
So he'll like kind of play bite a little bit.
Oh, sure, like in the home.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like
And honestly, it's never the good thing is it's not an issue with other people. It's only with us.
With you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
Fine.
Is he doing this when he's actively playing, or is it like when you're like sitting down and he's like resting next to you?
Mostly active playing, and if
Okay.
he wants attention, like really wants attention, he'll
Sure.
come on, maybe like start pulling at your clothing.
Sure. I mean, the other thing is the Cesar Millan type. You guys watch Cesar Millan?
Long time.
Yeah, the dog whisperer, right?
Yeah.
Mexican guy, my cousin. So, not really my cousin. so I make lots of inappropriate jokes. So he does what's called I call it the touch. So dogs bite each other, of course. So in his theory of training, he talks about mimicking a dog bite. So like Cesar Millan, he's great. I look at him as like holistic dog training, because it's just you, the dog, the leash. So there's no tools or anything like that. But it's also very complicated. But this is simple, is that he takes his hand, and if you ever watch his show, he'll touch the dogs or like jab with his hand. But the way he spreads his fingers makes it feel like a dog bite. Okay, so if you were to take your hand and then go ahead and go like this, and then with your other hand go like this, and you just come like that, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of feel like the pointiness of your fingers, especially if you have nails.
Yeah.
And then it's just the intensity. Okay? So then, like, let's say he's mouthing me, and I would just jab him.
Okay.
I'm essentially mouthing him back, right? And I'm using that touch to say I don't want that.
Okay.
So it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing is with the bigger guys is that they tend to be sturdier. So like my pit, she's solid. She's like 60 pounds. So like the good thing is, since I raised her with the touch, she's actually very sensitive to it. But if anybody else would try to do it, she'd be like, what? You know? So that's another option. So like, let's say, what's up, buddy? Right. So like, let's say he's doing something I don't want. I just move in, right? And you can see how he backs away.
Yeah.
And that's just to give you an example, but that shows you how it registers. So what I essentially just corrected Kodi for was for actually walking to me,
Yeah, so
okay?
that's right.
Yeah, so that's why he went that way. So I did one touch, and then he kind of booped me with his nose, which tells me you didn't take that serious. So I did a little bit firmer, and then he went, oh, okay? So, and I didn't yell or anything like that, of course. So when you do the touch, it does take practice because it is a skill. Like I've been doing this for 10 years, and the first, year or whatever, I sucked at it, but I just kept repeating it, and I watched a lot of Cesar, and they kept practicing. It is very effective. So when I hear someone say like, oh, it doesn't work, I'm like, it's not that it doesn't work, it's that it just takes a lot of skill to do it. But the main thing is you're trying to create that kind of biting feel, and like here, the way I was positioning him, I actually went more of like this, as opposed to this, right? Because that's what was gonna work in the moment. And he also does like what he calls the heel tap, where he'll go like this to catch the dog, and he'll correct them here because it catches them off guard. So there's a lot of different ways of going about it. When I talk to people about physical touch, the main thing is always like, oh, hit my dog. I'm like, it's a really complicated conversation. I was like my mom spanked me. Of course, someone could say, oh, you mean your mom hit you? And I'm like, no, my mom spanked me. Like, I don't see it as hitting because it was discipline, right? So same thing for dogs. Like dogs are all physical. They use their mouth, they bite, and all that stuff. But it's just humans, of course, and how we perceive things. So, but the touch is also very effective. You don't need a bonker. You don't need a remote. Unless you lose your hands, you have something to use, right?
And I think that's what's challenging. It's like, it's kind of just like in the moment versus like, okay, like let's rile him up. Because even if we've tried to do where we like kind of try to get him riled up and he doesn't always like take it.
Yeah, if you try to get him riled up, you use the
Like,
collar as
correct,
the correct mechanism.
Yeah.
It's right there, and he's still like, okay, I know I'm not supposed to do it, even though they're trying to get me in.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. No, that's the common. It's very common.
For the touch, is there like, I mean, it's really kind of like a good location to.
Yeah. So, attaboy. So, here,
Okay.
because there's nothing shielding. Here,
Okay.
right? Everything is really up for grabs. But if you go here, expect like when I think I did it somewhere around here, right? Just expect you're gonna get some resistance because of his ribs.
Yeah.
What we don't do is correct underneath here on the jugular, okay? But on the side is fine. All this is up for grabs, but this, because there's no rib cage, right? There's no protection here, and the same thing for this. There's no protection here either, so that tends to be a bit more sensitive, okay?
Okay.
But yeah, and never feel like if you do it once and it keeps going, that tells me it wasn't firm enough,
Okay.
right? And don't ever feel rushed. Like take your time and go like, where's my moment? Here.
Yeah.
Because people tend to rush and go, oh, and I'm like, no, like that just you lose all effectiveness. It's best to get in one good correction than to do several weak corrections. Okay. So that's another option for you to try out. So what it would look like is you go to playing, and the moment he puts that mouth on you, you would just pause and don't remove your hand or whatever it is he's nibbling on, and correct as he's doing the behavior. Because if you remove your hand and then you correct, you've stopped the context, and he won't figure out why that correction happened. Okay. Other questions?
No?
Yeah, and if you look up old school, I think the Dog Whisperers show is on Disney Plus or something.
Okay.
So if you want to, is it still?
I think
Yeah.
it's because the Nat Geo. Maybe?
Yeah, Nat Geo. Yep. So the first 5 seasons are the best stuff because it was just pure like, this is what we do, this is how I do it. And now he's like completely shifted. He's like very spiritual and very yoga and very energy, and it's very soft. And the old school stuff is the good stuff. Because usually like old school Metallica is really good. Old school Cesar Millan's really good. So, but that's something you can watch.
So we took him to swimming 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
or a week ago,
Uh-huh.
and he's extremely sociable, and the other dog was very really aggressive in space.
Oh, sure.
Aggressive.
Mhm.
And so they asked us to remove him, they asked us to leave the swim session, which
Interesting.
and that was part of the reasoning is that Kodi was not respecting the dog's space.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get it, but in this scenario, I mean, is there anything that we should be doing to?
Yeah, so you can actually use the collar for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just didn't have
We didn't.
Yeah. Usually he's like we never encountered that there, and I was like, shoot, we should have done it. But
Was it doggy paddle?
yeah.
Yeah. Beep.
Usually it's been like only.
Because I
one
think they
on one
make you
sessions.
remove all stuff, right?
Oh, I don't even know.
I thought they make you remove everything. I could be. I've never been there. I've only had a few clients use it.
Yeah.
But if they allow the e-collar, like you can even keep him completely away from that dog's space,
Okay.
and it wouldn't create a negative association. It wouldn't make him not like the dog. He would just think, oh, every time I try to walk over here, this goes off. Okay. So, do you guys take him to the dog park or no?
Not well, like the park with the not like a dog park, but there's just off of Western.
Oh, is it Treps or Chibis, whatever?
Yeah.
It's like a school, but they have like a.
Yeah. My girlfriend takes her dog there, so you probably have seen her. Yeah. Do you like know Nash, Shadow, Luna, Winnie, two Winnies?
That sounds very.
Yeah.
She's a white Pyrenees with the mask.
Oh.
no.
Yeah. She actually used to work for Kodi.
Oh. Really?
Elizabeth Hurley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She works for Riaz now. So
Yeah.
I'm
So that's
her
my
team.
girlfriend.
Wait, really?
Yes.
That is so funny. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. No, I work with
It's
her
crazy.
today.
Yeah, I know. She told me, she's like, I used to work for Kodi. I'm like, I have tons of Kodi clients.
No, she knows me.
Yeah. No, because I remember one day she was like, oh, she's like, I was like, I got one more client. I got to work with the dog, Kodi. She's like, oh, who's your client? I was like, because I said they're Coyote. And I was like, it's Lisa. And she's like, oh, and then I told her, and she's like, yeah, I remember her. She's like, I think she had actually had a meeting with you or something recently.
No, so I'm newer, but I'm in like CTM. So she used to be within like CTM and then moved to the customer, and our customer is Reyes, so she's on the customer side for me.
Yeah.
So she's our customer. But, I mean, I have meetings with her like every 2 weeks. But.
Yeah. I remember her telling me something about that. Yeah. So, but what you can do is if you wanted to practice to get a feel for it, so you're not in the moment of like, oh, here's a reactive dog, is go to the dog park and then pick a dog that you want to keep Kodi from. And all you would do is anytime you see Kodi targeting or going towards that dog's space, and it can even be from 20 feet away. As long as you see him locking on, tap there, and what you should see is he would like deflect and go to something else. Okay, now the one thing that you would potentially see is if that dog comes to pursue Kodi and you've tapped him several times, he might get a little edgy because he's thinking, oh, like I need to stay away from you, and now you're coming to me.
Yes.
Okay, but in the case of an antisocial dog like that, obviously we wouldn't have to worry about that because they're not going to cross each other if that dog wants to be on their own. But you can definitely, it's not about obedience in that point. It's really just setting a rule of like, hey, buddy, you can't interact with that dog. So there would be no words. You're just tapping every time you see him look like he's going to interact or want to interact. Okay? Other questions?
I don't think
That's about it.
How did getting the opportunity to practice the recall stuff?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
He's, for the most part, pretty good. He does have that like hesitation sometimes. Like at the beginning of the session, we try to get kind of pauses, and then eventually maybe we do the bowling ball method.
Oh, sure.
But like halfway through it, I mean, everything just clicked and he would go. So,
Perfect.
we kind of reinforce with treats.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
I was like, it was
The recall is the one, like you can actually reinforce everything that we do with food. The only reason why I don't talk about it here is because obviously, even though this is simplified, it's a lot, right? So then if you feel comfortable enough, you're like, yeah, we can do this now, and you want to add in food, I have no problem with it, okay? It's great as a reinforcer. It's not great to actually create reliable obedience, okay? So keep doing that. What I would also suggest, if possible, like, you know, on the lakefront or whatever, you can go Kodi, give him the long leash, and just meander. You know, just go for a walk where he's just all over the place, and then 15 minutes in, Kodi come, throwing in a random recall there, you know?
Honestly, when it's like just by himself and he's meandering, he's definitely responding more so to the recall. It's when he's with one of us and we're trying to recall him to another person.
Oh, sure.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah, he did better after the session. But after this session, we did, and then after a few trainings at home. So.
Never
Okay.
really implemented like more like things around, and it's been very like contained. But
Yeah, I mean, Travis is a great place because so many people go there. I have trained so many dogs there too. Like there's at least 8 to 10 dogs in that park that I've trained.
I'm
So
pretty sure we saw you doing a session at one point. We just didn't. It was like I think right before we did our first session here.
Oh, really?
I swear to God, that's him.
Yeah, actually, because I was doing a few sessions there before we started going to Oz and stuff. Yeah, so it very much most likely was me. So what we're going to do today is, you said we did not cover the stay, is that correct? Okay, so we're going to start that first on the short leash, and then we're going to transition to the long leash, because that's going to give you another thing to add to your long leash repertoire. Then the last thing would just be the formal sits and downs, and then from there we're going to just start practicing everything on the long leash. Okay, so what we're going to do here for the stay is very simple. So, you know, heel, it's heel, left leg, that turns everything on, right? And then when we stop, what we're going to do, I don't know if you remember in the beginning, I said right leg means don't move. Yep. So left leg means move, right leg means don't move. Okay, so now we're going to get to that right leg phase. So it's going to be very simple. What we're going to start off with, first with is we're going to have Kodi in a sitting heel position, right? You're going to cue the word stay. You're going to shorten your leash. Okay, so you're going to choke up on it so you're very close to the collar, and you're going to swing out with your right leg like this. One big swoop so that now you're facing Kodi, okay? If Kodi should get up, you're simply going to pull up and away from you and tap to put his butt down. We're not going to say anything. And then you're going to swoop back in like this. So we're just getting him used to, like, when I move out, you're not going to move. Because for like the past 5-6 weeks or longer, it's been following. So now we're going to counter that. Okay, so he's in a heel sitting position, stay, shorten your leash, pivot out with the right leg, up if you need to. As long as he doesn't move, we're good. And then step back in, good boy, and heel. Okay, and I'll coach you through it as well. So he's gonna go first. And what's his number currently?
30.
Okay. Good. So go ahead, and what I'm gonna have you do is just heel, and you're gonna walk and turn around and then come to a stop first, okay?
So, I'm sorry, what?
So go ahead and go into a heel and walk a little bit.
Oh, okay. Heel.
Go in a slow turn. Yep, good pivot. And then slow to a stop. Good. So now here, with your left hand, because that's the hand closest, you're gonna kind of wave and say stay.
Stay.
Correct. Now go ahead and grab your leash again, and then with your, what you're gonna do with your right leg here is you're gonna swoop out one big step. Now up, tap, tap, yep, hold, and relax. Good. So all of that stuff that he did doesn't matter right now, okay? Because his instinct is to follow you, okay? Now you're gonna step back to his side. Good, and then relax, and we're gonna repeat that a few more times, okay? Tap, up, and relax. Good, and heel. Good, and relax your arm. Good. Good.
Stay.
Tap, good, and then relax. Wait a moment, I'm sorry. You got it? Now relax. So what you can do here is just take a step back. Up, tap. Good. Step back again. Good. Up, tap. Good. Step back again. Tap. And go ahead and choke up a little bit higher so you're keeping him away from you. So choke up closer to the where his collar is.
Oh.
Yeah, like that. Perfect. So there, it allows you to keep him away from you. Okay? So now you're going to swoop back to his side.
This way?
Yep. Up, there you go. And just step in.
Which way?
So go ahead and stand in front of him.
Oh.
Tap. Up.
You're strong.
There you go. Now relax. Up. There you go. Now step into his side.
Wait, this is?
There you go. Good. And then you're going to go into a heel. Yes, you are. There you go. Okay. It's the first few are always rough. It's okay. Heel.
Yeah.
Good. And then slow to stop. Good. Stay.
Stay.
That's fine. And then make sure you're choking up a little bit. Yep. There you go. Now relax. Up. Tap. Good. Now relax. And go ahead and just keep your hand up with the leash because you want to anticipate that he's going to want to move with you. And you're gonna scoot to the right so that you're facing in front of him. There you go. Okay, try it again. There you go. Wait a moment. Yep. Go ahead and yep. Now step into his side. Perfect. Good.
Got it.
Okay. It's because since he's fidgeting so much,
Yeah.
you're having to accommodate him. But then when you move to accommodate him, he moves again.
Got it.
Okay. But keeping that leash shorter, what we're trying to prevent is Kodi coming to you. Because if you tap him, right, let's say he sits, but he swivels around and his butt is here, he's thinking that's what he's supposed to do because we did heel, we did recall, which are very much come to the body commands, right? So now we're teaching him stay away from the body. So it's confusing. So when you choke up higher and there's only so much leash, it allows you to prevent him from coming to you. I don't care about all this swiveling that he does. I just need him to learn to put the butt down away from you. And then once we get that down, everything starts to get easier. Okay? Heel.
Heel.
Good.
Do I do the whole like?
Yep, you can just stay. Yep.
Stay.
And then choke up. Good move. Yep. Now, yep. And then relax. Good. Wait a moment. Now step in. That was better. Okay. We're going to try to do a few more, okay? Heel.
Heel.
Good. Now back to the side. Let's try 4 more, okay?
Heel.
It's okay. Stay.
Stay.
Tap. Good. Back to the side. Good. 3 more.
Heel.
Good. Back to the side. 2 more. Good pivot. So what you can do here is just turn so that you're to his, there you go, like that, that's fine. Yep, good, that's fine. He's
anticipating.
yeah.
Stay.
Good. Back to the side, and 1 more.
So the hand wave is not just to get the initial attention.
Yeah, like you can, so technically, you can get completely verbal control. The hand wave is just like the visual cue. So like you're saying stay, and he's not even looking at you, but he's still holding the position, right? So if you say it, or if you wave or don't wave, as long as you've practiced and all that stuff, it doesn't really matter. But for some people, they like having just something that they show the dog, so.
Stay.
Right, good. And back to the side, perfect. So we're gonna pause right there. So what you're gonna do now, same process, except now, when you've cued the stay, right, and you pivot out, you're gonna hold for a second, you're gonna choke up, and you're gonna walk around the front half of Kodi. Okay, so now that you start walking, he's gonna maybe move. If he moves, you'll stop, up, tap, let him settle, relax, and then try to do another half circle motion around the front of him, okay?
Should I do it from here or do a walk?
Do a heel first.
Heel. Stay.
So that was left leg. And you want to step out with your right leg. Yep. Tap. Yep. Tap. There you go. Okay.
Stay.
Good. Then start your half circle. Right. And then back the other way. And then back to his side. To his healing, to his right side. There you go. Now pause right there for a second. You see, so when you did the left leg, how he followed you, and then when you did the right leg, he actually, now the right leg we're exaggerating because you're swooping out, but eventually it would become this, and he doesn't move. We do the exaggerated swoop out to help him differentiate, but right there you can see just that subtle difference in leg movements and how it affected him, because sometimes that does happen to clients where they forget about the leg and they're moving forward with the left leg, and they're like, Jess, the dog keeps following me every time I say stay, and I was like, show me, and it's the left leg going forward, and the moment they do the right leg, the dog's fine. Okay? Are you gonna do 4 more? Yep. Yep. Good. Good. Tap. Right. Good. Perfect. 3 more. There you go. Good move. Good.
Stay.
Good. Good. 2 more. Good. Good. 1 more.
Stay.
here, he's still in the stay. I'm gonna have you swap handlers, but he should keep in that position, okay? Perfect. So, had Kodi gotten up, whoever would have had the remote or the leash, whatever, would then correct as usual, because it's not uncommon for the dog to think like, oh, we're swapping handlers. I guess I'm done. Unless you say break, he's supposed to hold that command no matter what, okay? So I'm gonna have you start back with the first step, which is gonna be the stay, and then the pivot out with the right leg. Pause for a second, and then back to his side again. We'll do that 5 times, and then we'll move to the next step, and then we're gonna move to the step after that, okay?
Heel. Stay.
Good. Back to his side, perfect. 4 more.
Heel. Stay.
Very good.
Heel. Stay.
Good. I thought that was this camera for a second.
Go back.
Yeah. And you're good? Back to the side, 2 more. You might have to take a fresh battery. Cool. Oh, take a long leash with you in case they don't have one.
Stay.
Up tap, yep, good. Back to the side, and then 1 more.
Heel.
Good.
Stay.
Good. Back to the side, and now you're gonna move to the half moon step.
Heel. Stay.
Perfect. 4 more.
Heel. Stay.
Right. Good job. Good. 3 more.
Heel. Stay.
Very nice. Good. 2 more.
Heel.
Good crossover. Good.
Stay.
Tap. Good. Good job. Good. Perfect. And then last one.
Heel.
Good pivot. Good. You thought about it. Perfect. Back to the side. You're gonna hold right there. Good job. Your turns are all really good. So your leg movements are very clear. Okay. So for the next part, we're now going to do the full walk around. What I expect to see is once you get to the back half of Kodi, that tends to be where dogs have issues. So if Kodi is sitting and you're going around him, you might see him do this. Okay. If he swivels but keeps the butt down, it's okay. If he stands up or lays down, we would definitely correct that. Because what happens is once he learns, oh, you're just going to walk around me, the swiveling stops. Okay, so you don't need to correct him for doing that. But definitely if he stands up to try to follow or lay down, you would up and tap. When you get ready to do the full circle, you're going to want to choke up. So that this way, if he does begin to try to follow you, you have that immediate contact. And then once we get that down, then we'll move on to the next one. Okay? But all that looks good. Heel.
Heel. Stay.
Right, good job. Good. That's okay. Shh. Perfect. Back to his side. And 4 more.
Heel.
Good.
Stay.
Good. Good. 3 more.
Stay. You don't care to go behind me, or you're just too tired?
Tap. Right. Now here, so since he just made that mistake at the end, go ahead and do just 1 circle before ending. Like that, perfect. So if he makes a mistake towards the end, instead of like just finishing it like you would, try to complete whatever it was you were doing prior and then end it, okay? 2 more.
Heel. Stay.
Good, and last one.
Heel.
Good.
Stay.
Good. I'm gonna pause right there. Let's swap here. Good. And then what you can do is do just another lap around and then come to a side. Tap. right? So since he moved there, you'll go and try for another lap. Good, and then back to his side. Perfect. So like little things like that, just when swapping off to add a little bit of a difference there, helps. We want to see mistakes, right? Because mistakes are how he learns. So now what you're going to do, very similar, you're going to do the state, you're going to do a full circle, and once you complete a circle, you're going to come in and you're going to praise Kodi, and I'm going to have you give him like high energy praise. And then you're going to stop, and then you're going to step out again, okay? But he's still under the command of stay. So of course, when you put in that energy, if Kodi were to get excited and stand up, you would simply tap him to sit back down, and you would continue praising. And then when you step out, we anticipate he's of course going to make the mistake, so be prepared for that. As long as he does fine, then you would do one more circle, and then back to his side and repeat, okay?
Is there any benefit to, I like kind of stopped halfway through a circle and back the other way?
Yeah, like go shifting it around, yeah. Like just changing directions too helps. And then eventually we take this, and then we apply it to the long leash. So now, when you practice your long leash stuff, now you have heel, come, and stay. And I like blending those three things together with the long leash because it just helps break things up. So it's not, come, heel, or come, and then go back to what you're doing. It gives you a third thing to add in. And then once we teach the formal sits and downs, then you can have even more stuff to add into that, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Good pivot.
Stay. Do I keep going or?
No, that's fine. And then step back. Yep. And now try to walk around again. He was not impressed with that praise. He's like, what was that? He's like, what was that? Good. Tap. There it is. Now, yep. Now step back and then just do a walk around. And then pause right there. And then here you can just go back to his side. Good. And then heel.
Heel.
Good. We're going to try that a few more times. Good.
Stay.
Sure. It's all right. Good. Back to his side. And three more. Heel.
Hold back, great, so much. I'm like the least excited I've ever done this.
You can praise him like you're excited, whatever it would be.
I
hope you're like way more into it.
Am I? I don't know.
Yep. There we go. Good.
Stay.
Now walk around again. He knows this is a trick.
Yeah.
Good. Two more.
Okay, heel.
Good. Last one.
Heel.
what you can do here is stand where you are,
Okay.
lightly pull back and tap, tap. And then here, you're gonna pull kind of forward and inwards and tap.
Like this.
Yeah, like that. There we go. Good. And then you can take a tiny step forward to close that gap there. Good. So if like in the beginning I was ignoring it because I wanted to focus on the stays. So when you're training stuff, I tend to work in topics. So in the first one, it was just step out. Real simple, right? And then he was struggling with that, and eventually he went from swiveling all over the place, eventually going, okay, just stay here. And then we moved to the half moon, then we moved to the full circle. But in that time, he would sometimes get distracted.
Yeah.
So I ignored it because we're trying to get that concept in. But now that I can see he's got a pretty solid concept of it, now we can be picky with the other stuff. So if you see something like that happen where he like completely is facing the wrong direction, is you would just anchor and then use your leash to direct where he needs to go, and then the tap is what should make him move, okay? So go ahead and go with the stay.
Stay.
Good.
Thank you.
Perfect. And slow to stop. Good. So we're going to go ahead and swap out our leash here. So when we move to the long leash, we're not going to just say stay and then walk 30 feet away. Okay? We're going to warm him up to that. So we're going to swap your short leash for this one. Oh. Yeah. And what I'm going to have you do is, do you remember the long leash heel?
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to have the leash in your right hand, let it slack, but it's going to make that big U behind you. And then what you're going to do is we're going to do a long leash heel. You're going to walk down, come back, stop in the middle, and then we're going to go into a stay. Okay, now when we go into the stay, you're then going to grab higher on your leash and start like you would have a 6-foot leash. And then you're slowly going to give slack and move your way outwards. Okay?
How do you hold it again? It's like this, right?
Almost.
You go like this?
So this, what I do is
I know.
over my thumb,
Yeah.
and then behind you like this. Okay, so let everything else go. There you go.
I know, I'm so bad at this. Wait, so I'm doing this to stay, okay.
Yeah, so you're gonna do your heel like you were, but now you have a 30-foot leash.
Yeah.
And then once you come to a stop, I'll coach you, okay?
Okay. Yep.
Good pivot. And you're gonna slow down to a stop when you're ready. Perfect, okay? Now here, you're gonna cue the stay,
Stay.
and then grab the leash close by his collar. So you're gonna keep it in your right hand, and your left hand's gonna grab that one, yep. Go ahead and pull some out. Do you sit on it? There you go. And then now you're gonna pivot out correct, yep. And now you're gonna begin to walk around. Hold right there. And now, yeah, now do your circle from about that distance. Yeah, it gets kind of messy, so you might have to like swing it around. Yep, there you go. And now here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna give slack on that left hand, like maybe 1 to 2 feet of slack, and you're gonna move out a little bit further from Kodi. And just be careful, you know, it's okay. And just be careful not to put tension on his collar, because if he feels tension pulling towards you, he's gonna think move forward. Yeah, now go ahead and move backwards. There you go. A little bit more, here you go. Yep, right there. Now begin your walk around. There you go. Good. Good, and then you can drop your leash and then back to his side. Perfect. And we're gonna try that again. Heel. Good. Good pivot. Good. So then here, choke up closer to the collar so you have more immediate, there you go. And then you would go back, tap, tap, tap. There you go. Good.
Stay.
Tap, right. Good.
Have you ever met anyone more challenged?
Yes.
Oh, then.
It took everybody in the beginning with the long leash has issues because you're not used to like having to deal with the 30-foot line. Good. Yep, good. Good. Excellent. One more.
I know, sorry. Feel. Okay, feel. Stay.
Good. Good. And what we'll do here,
So tangling.
after you get untangled, is he's still on the stay, correct?
Yeah.
So go ahead and step away from him. And then go ahead and just go on over, and then you'll pass it off, but he's going to stay put right there, okay? Up, tap. Yep. Very good. Very nice. Good. And then you'll do the same thing, okay?
Heel.
Right. Yep. There you go.
Stay.
Good. Good, 2 more.
Heel.
Good crossover.
Stay.
Good, back to the side. Last one.
Stay.
Good. His face. Good. Yeah, he's looking at Harley here. So go ahead and release Kodi.
Break.
Alright, bud. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna just show you real quick. So do you have something to practice? I'm gonna hold Kodi here, and I'm gonna have you do a recall towards that way, okay? Alright, bud.
You want to hold on to this or wait?
Yeah, go ahead and hold on to it just in case he makes a mistake.
Ready? Here.
Okay. What you're gonna do here is go ahead and do a couple of those side steps. Good. Good. And then here, yeah, go to your right. Perfect. Now, stay.
Stay.
Good. And then begin to walk around and keep it about that distance. Good. And then back to his side. Go ahead and praise him. And then you're gonna step away again. Right? Step in towards him, tap. So here, because he was gonna stay, right? Is go ahead and grab your leash and you're gonna tap and walk back towards the general spot that he was at. Tap, tap, hold right there. And then just drop and step away. Perfect. Walk towards him. There you go, now step away. Yep, hold right there. Good. So actually, I think what confused them is because when you stepped away like we do the side steps.
Yes.
Right? So there, when you step away, you would keep it to that pivot. Okay? If you do step sideways, which technically is correct as well, I would pause for a second and then maybe branch off in a different direction so he doesn't think, oh, we're going to that, at least at this stage. Okay? So then if he does break the position and come to you, you would just start tapping and move into him. So when you did it the second time and you tapped and moved in, I don't know if you saw, he kind of stopped and like slinked, like he was going to put himself in a sitting position. Because when you move into him, you're putting pressure. So a lot of times when the dog comes towards you, if you move into them, they'll stop. And then I'll see if the tap will get them to correct. And then I can just move away without having to touch them. Okay? So essentially you just said, not here. We have to be over here, right? So I don't need perfect area, but just general spot. And then you step away to correct if he breaks the stay position. Okay? So what we did here was we did recall to sidestep, which is a lot. Follow, follow, follow. And then stay. And then you step down. He did that really well, right? Is because now we're taking conflicting commands, because two of them, heel and recall, have to do with being with you, whereas stay is being away from you, okay? So to help them start differentiating between those two concepts, that's another place that you can blend it in. So right now we're doing it from the stay to teach it, and then when you practice your recalls, you can do come or here, into heel, into stay. You can do here, side steps, stay, back into heel. You can do here, stay, walk around, back, heel. You can start to put it in different places to see what his concept is. Does that make sense?
And from like moving into that sidestep thing, which kind of starts blending both the here command and the stay, what we're trying to do with stay. At what point should we move from just big swing out to the sidesteps? Should we have it down pretty much pat big swing?
Yeah. So the next step would be after this. I give it, depending on how much you practice, a week, and then it's stay, and then you would go into this. Okay. So then when we're ready for this, however, because we're making this more difficult now, because we're no longer giving that very blatant swing out, is I choke back up on the leash. So if I have him on a long leash, I'll choke, because I know when I do this, he might be thinking heel. So then you might have to counter him still, okay? When you do the stay and you step out like this, it's probably gonna be a week or more. So he has a very solid concept of that stay before he starts differentiating between here and side steps and having to follow, and then the stay, and then it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're using the leg that's away from Kodi. So if Kodi landed on your right side, it would be stay, but then you'd step out with your left leg, okay? Because he's on the opposite side now. So you're stepping away with the away leg. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like dogs that heel on the right side, we say heel, right leg forward. So they're completely opposite to you, okay?
Should we, to that point, should we be mixing in if he does land on our right side?
Yeah, you just do your stay off of that. So then he starts learning to tell the difference between the two positions. Yeah, and so he doesn't become too dependent on you always having to get in the heel position or whatever. And like if he lands in front or behind you, because you'll get there where he'll be facing you or something, and I'll say stay. Like I'll still probably do the right leg, but at that point, you can either do either or.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Good. So now you can start blending this in with your long leash stuff. And then just remember that when he's in a stay, he's supposed to hold it until released. My preference, and I don't do recalls from stays. Okay, you can if you want, but what ends up happening almost always is when you say stay and you go into the recalls, he's gonna build that habit. And he's gonna assume that when you tell him stay, you're gonna call him. So it creates more work. Now, if you don't mind doing more work and you're gonna clear that up for him, if that happens, you tell me and I'll tell you how to fix it. But it's a very common problem that people will try to practice recall from stay. But one, it's not realistic because he's not gonna be stationary waiting for you to call him. He's gonna be doing something. But then two, it creates that problem of when you tell him to stay and you walk away, he might prematurely leave to follow you because he thinks you're gonna call him. Okay? Other questions?
Yeah, so at what point, and I'm assuming it's down the road, do you stay but then go into another room where you're not visible?
Oh, sure.
So a few weeks.
This, as you saw, progressed pretty quickly.
Okay.
So if you do this in the home, you would do short, like go around, grab a drink of water, come back type of thing. And then the stay, so when we do the sit and the down stuff, or like place, we don't say stay with place. It's implied. Same thing once we do the sit and the down. The reason why we use stay here is because if you're in a heel and he automatically sits, it's not a sit. it's a heel. So if you move, he's supposed to move. So stay means now you don't move. So if you were to see Kodi laying on the bed by himself, like of his own choice, someone told me that their trainer told them to take the dog off and then tell them place, which makes sense, right? Because the dog has to do something or do the action in order to know that they're under command. But with stay, it would just be stay, right? Now it becomes a place command. But you can only layer in the stay over stuff that he's familiar with. So he's familiar with the sitting position because of the heel. We can issue the stay there. We can issue stay over the place or when he's on his dog bed because he knows what place is. I wouldn't put stay over down. So if he's laying down and say stay, because you don't have a means of reinforcing it with remote yet. Once we cover the down position with e-collar, then you can start using the stay word with it because you'll know how to correct it. Okay?
Sorry, one last question. Can we do break like someone has to say and like?
Yeah, do the release? Yeah. So my preference with that is that when you do release them, I always release dogs when I'm next to them. Because if you release them from 20 feet away, again, you're creating that pattern of I might release you from a distance. And then I don't want to have the situation where he's supposed to stay, you're at a distance, but he thinks you released him, right? So that's my personal preference. Again, you can do it. You just will have to tighten it up if we start to see any of those inconsistencies. Okay? All right?
I have one quick one. So I've always been EQing and heel when he would stop and sit and EQ it without breaking it. Is it okay to not EQ it then? I should just follow you?
Yes, as long as you move forward to left leg.
Okay.
Because technically that's the cue. Heel, left leg, right? So if you walk for a bit, you come to a stop, he's still in the heel position or still heel command, and you go like this, that's perfectly fine. But if you said break, and then we're going to walk again, you'd have to re-cue it. Okay? Other questions? All right, good job, guys. You're doing really good.